Paris's oldest couture house is still alive. Yet try naming anything Lanvin has made since 2019. Founded in 1889 by Jeanne Lanvin, this house was once the benchmark of Parisian romance and craftsmanship. But ownership upheaval and creative silence have left it nearly invisible today, not through scandal, but through slow erasure. If a brand with such history can slip off fashion's radar, what really erases a legacy? The answers hide in 3 pivotal decisions you are about to hear unraveled. If you like breakdowns of luxury brands that did not crash but faded, subscribe. This channel tracks what is really happening behind the runway. We will trace the moment the house stopped being legible, from Fosun taking a majority stake in 2018 to the Lanvin Group entering a public market era via a SPAC and a stronger investor relations focus. Creative leadership gaps mattered as well. Bruno Sialelli left in April 2023, and Lanvin has not shown a runway since March 2023. Then Peter Kopping was appointed in June 2024, and his debut signaled a heritage-forward elegance, according to AP. Here are the 3 reasons Lanvin was forgotten. First, heritage without a modern point of view, which to shoppers felt like beautiful clothes with no clear conversation to join. Second, ownership and strategy shifts that prioritized turnaround over meaning, which felt like the house becoming a portfolio asset. Third, creative silence and inconsistent messaging, no steady runway drumbeat and long gaps, which felt like being removed from the cultural feed. Comment: can Lanvin actually come back in 2026, or is heritage not enough anymore? Jeanne Lanvin began her life in Paris as the eldest of 11 children, apprenticing at a milliner's shop by the age of 13. She opened her own hat boutique in 1889, working with her hands and teaching herself each technique as she went. The shop sat at 16 Rue Boissy d'Anglas, a modest address, but Jeanne's work quickly drew the city's attention. Her approach was rooted in the tactile. She did not sketch. Instead, she shaped fabric directly, letting the material guide her. In 1897, Jeanne's daughter Marguerite was born. Marguerite became more than a child. She became Jeanne's muse. The clothes Jeanne made for her daughter stood out for their detail and softness, soon catching the eye of other Parisian mothers. Word spread, and by 1908, Jeanne was making entire wardrobes for children of the city's elite. This was the first time a Parisian designer had built a dedicated high-fashion children's line. The boutique filled with orders for dresses trimmed in ribbons and lace, each one designed with the same care as her hats. The demand for children's clothing soon eclipsed that for millinery. Mothers who admired Marguerite's dresses began asking Jeanne to create pieces for themselves. In 1909, Jeanne Lanvin officially expanded into women's couture and joined the Chambre syndicale de la couture. The house now offered a complete vision of elegance, one that moved seamlessly from mother to daughter. Jeanne's hands-on approach and devotion to her daughter shaped the visual language of the brand. Every seam, every bow, every shade of blue was chosen with intention. Craftsmanship was not a marketing term here. It was the foundation of the house. In these early years, Lanvin's identity was inseparable from the personal story of a mother and her muse, and from the discipline of work done by hand. That sense of quiet, generational romance would become the grammar of the house in decades to come. By the early 1920s, Lanvin's vocabulary was unmistakable. The robe de style became the house's signature. Unlike the straight lines of the flapper era, this silhouette offered structure and softness at once. The robe de style was instantly recognizable on Paris's grand avenues and at the city's most exclusive soirees. Its shape spoke to a kind of femininity that did not shout, but could not be ignored. Color, too, became a Lanvin language. Jeanne Lanvin worked with dye specialists to create a proprietary shade known as Lanvin Blue. The story goes that she found inspiration in Fra Angelico's frescoes, chasing a blue that felt both luminous and serene. This particular hue, somewhere between sky and midnight, became a calling card for the house. Fabrics in Lanvin blue lined the racks of her atelier, and the color appeared in everything from silk dresses to perfume bottles. Jeanne Lanvin's pursuit of beauty extended beyond clothing. In 1920, she partnered with architect Armand Albert Rateau to open a pavilion at 15 Rue du Faubourg Saint-Honoré. This was not just a fashion salon, it was an entire universe of Art Deco interiors, custom furniture, and objets d'art. The idea was radical, a couture house that offered a complete lifestyle, not just seasonal garments. Carpets, wallpaper, and glassware carried the same sense of tailored elegance as her dresses. Lanvin's codes were precise yet expansive. The disciplined silhouette of the robe de style, the unmistakable depth of Lanvin blue, the embrace of Art Deco lines, and a belief that luxury should shape every part of daily life. These choices cemented the house's identity. For decades, to speak of Lanvin was to invoke a world defined by craft, color, and quiet confidence, a world that felt both intimate and grand. In 2018, Lanvin's future was decided not in an atelier, but in a boardroom. Fosun International, a Shanghai-based conglomerate, acquired a majority stake in the house, and the deal was sold as a rescue, an infusion of capital and global muscle to bring Lanvin back to relevance. The logic was simple. Growth had to be measurable, and every investment required a clear path to return. Fosun's strategy prioritized expanding into Asia, ramping up ready-to-wear, and tightening costs across the business. Underperforming boutiques were shuttered. Inventory was streamlined. The management team was overhauled, and a new CEO was brought in to enforce commercial discipline. Creative spending, once the lifeblood of a couture house founded in 1889 by Jeanne Lanvin, now faced scrutiny from a spreadsheet perspective. The focus moved to product lines that promised higher margins and faster sales cycles, even if that meant fewer runway moments and pared-down collections. Fosun pledged to honor Jeanne Lanvin's heritage, but every decision was filtered through efficiency and scale. The brand also found itself inside the Lanvin Group SPAC and investor relations era, which added pressure for growth and quarterly performance. The house that once grew by word of mouth and personal vision now answered to quarterly targets and investor calls. As cost controls took hold and the search for rapid growth intensified, the creative calendar slowed, and Lanvin's voice in fashion's conversation grew quieter. Bruno Sialelli left in April 2023, and the house had no runway shows after March 2023. In June 2024, Peter Kopping was appointed as artistic director, and his debut signaled a return to heritage forward elegance according to Associated Press. The ownership logic was clear. Survival depended on numbers, not nostalgia. Quarterly targets became the new compass. Management meetings circled around revenue forecasts and margin reports, not atelier sketches or fabric swatches. The Paris calendar, once set by the rhythm of couture, was replaced by deadlines for sell-through and inventory turnover. Executives tracked which products moved fastest and which stores lagged behind. Underperforming lines were trimmed, and the pressure to justify each creative expense grew sharper. Budgets for shows, samples, and even archive research tightened. The question at every checkpoint was simple. Would this collection deliver a measurable return, or was it a risk the spreadsheet could not defend? Designers who once led with instinct now worked within the boundaries of cost controls. Proposals for elaborate embroideries or experimental silhouettes stalled in approval cycles, weighed against projected sales. The cadence of creation slowed. Instead of steady seasonal statements, the house issued fewer, safer collections. The old promise of discovery, of unveiling something unseen, gave way to the certainty of what had already sold. Each decision, measured and rational, chipped away at the house's voice. Lanvin's identity, once shaped by the hand and the heart, became increasingly hard to read from the outside. The brand's presence in fashion's conversation faded, not with a scandal, but with a quiet, numbers-driven retreat. Bruno Sialelli's departure in April 2023 left Lanvin without a creative leader. Just weeks earlier, the house had staged its last runway show of the year, March 2023. Since then, the schedule that once defined Paris fashion's tempo fell silent. No new collections appeared on the calendar. No invitations landed in editors' inboxes. The house that once announced each season's vision through fabric and silhouette now said nothing at all. For Lanvin, absence from the runway meant more than missing a date. In luxury fashion, the runway is the loudest voice a house has. It is how designers introduce new ideas, how editors and buyers decide what matters, how a brand enters the cultural conversation. Chanel, Dior, and Saint Laurent kept their names in headlines with steady presentations. Lanvin's name faded from the rotation. Fashion Week came and went, but the house's seats stayed empty. This silence lasted month after month. The official search for a new artistic director dragged on, but there were no public updates, no capsule drops, no surprise collaborations to fill the void. The brand's social media, once a tool for building anticipation, offered only sporadic posts, archival images, and the occasional product shot, but no sign of a living, breathing, creative hand. For shoppers and press alike, it became harder to answer a simple question: what does Lanvin stand for right now? With each missed season, the gap widened. Retailers hesitated to place orders without a clear vision. Magazine editors shifted their attention to houses with something to say. Even loyal clients who once awaited each new collection found themselves looking elsewhere. 14 months passed without a runway, without a creative director, without a statement of intent. In the world of luxury, that kind of silence is not neutral. It is erasure. A luxury brand's silence does not echo. It just disappears. For shoppers, the absence of Lanvin was not dramatic or headline-worthy. It was gradual, almost imperceptible. Walk into a boutique, and the atmosphere felt different. Where there used to be anticipation around new arrivals, there was uncertainty. Sales staff hesitated when asked about upcoming collections. Orders from buyers stalled. Without a creative director or a runway statement, even the most loyal clients struggled to justify a new purchase. On social media, the effect was even starker. While other houses filled feeds with behind-the-scenes videos, campaign launches, and show recaps, Lanvin's grid went quiet. Engagement numbers dropped. Fashion editors scrolled past, looking for brands with something to say. Influencers who thrive on novelty and exclusivity rarely tagged Lanvin in their posts. In the retail world, the absence of seasonal storytelling left buyers guessing. Without a clear vision, it was risky to stock up. Some department stores reduced their Lanvin orders or pulled the brand from prime locations. Others left the racks untouched, waiting for news that never came. For regular clients, shopping Lanvin became less about discovery and more about nostalgia. The thrill of being part of a living conversation faded. Instead, visitors browsed collections that felt frozen in time, disconnected from the energy of the wider fashion world. The silence was not just a lack of noise, it was a lack of presence. In luxury, relevance is built on repetition, on the steady drumbeat of newness and narrative. Without it, even a house with more than a century of history can vanish from memory, not with a bang, but with a quiet retail shrug. Lanvin Group entered the public markets through a SPAC, a special purpose acquisition company deal, promising a fresh injection of capital meant to fund expansion, creative projects, and a return to global relevance. The numbers on paper looked ambitious. The company was targeting over $500 million in proceeds, with plans for new stores, marketing pushes, and revitalized product lines. But when the deal closed, the capital raised fell far short of projections. Just a fraction of the expected sum actually landed in the company's accounts. This shortfall set a new tone inside the house. Every quarter, budgets were re-examined. Investor calls demanded clear, near-term results. Creative proposals faced new scrutiny, forced to justify themselves not just in terms of vision, but in terms of revenue impact and payback periods. The promise of creative freedom was replaced by the discipline of quarterly reporting. For a house built on slow craft and long-term storytelling, these new pressures compressed timelines and narrowed the space for experimentation. The runway calendar, once a showcase for artistry, now depended on whether the numbers could be made to work. Peter Copping stepped into the role of artistic director at Lanvin in June 2024, inheriting not just a title, but a mandate to revive a house whose voice had gone quiet. Copping's resume reads like a study in luxury, with formative years at Louis Vuitton, a turn at Oscar de la Renta, and recent work leading Couture at Balenciaga. Each chapter sharpened his sense for craft and for the codes that define a house. Now those skills are being tested in Paris, where Lanvin's history still lingers in the walls, but its identity needs a new language. His first collection drew immediate attention, not for spectacle, but for its restraint. The Associated Press described the debut as heritage-forward elegance, a phrase that captured both the intention and the risk. Copping referenced Jeanne Lanvin's original silhouettes, reworking the robe de style and reviving the depth of Lanvin blue. The message was clear: this was not a radical reinvention, but a return to the founder's grammar. Whether that grammar can be translated for a new era remains the open question. 3 reasons explain how a house with Lanvin's history became invisible, each one easy to feel in a boutique or on a phone. Lanvin was founded in 1889 by Jeanne Lanvin, and that origin still matters in how the house should read. First, heritage without a modern point of view. The codes were there: robe de style, Lanvin blue, and the language of Parisian restraint, but they lived behind glass. Shoppers called the clothes beautiful and poetic, but untethered from the pulse of now. The result was nostalgia, not desire. Second, Fosun and public market shifts put the logic of turnaround before meaning. Fosun took a majority stake in 2018, and the Lanvin Group moved into a public market era through a special purpose acquisition company and investor relations process. Collections started to feel like products of a board meeting, not an atelier. The rhythm of newness faded. Store staff struggled to explain what made this season's Lanvin different from the last. In the dressing room, clients sensed the difference: less story, more spreadsheet. Third, silence and inconsistent messaging hollowed relevance. Bruno Sialelli left in April 2023, and the house stopped doing runway shows after March 2023. With no runway shows, no artistic director, and only sporadic posts, the house simply stopped speaking. Peter Copping was appointed artistic director in June 2024, and his debut, according to Associated Press coverage, recentered the brand around founder codes and a return to heritage-forward elegance. Regulars found empty racks or last season's pieces. On social feeds, Lanvin's absence became routine. In luxury, silence is not neutral, it is erasure. Today, Lanvin's name still hangs above a Paris door, but cultural relevance can't be inherited. It must be earned, moment by moment. As fashion cycles accelerate and heritage is mined by every competitor, invisibility becomes the real risk for any house. In luxury, silence isn't elegant. It is erasure. What does survival look like when memory fades faster than craftsmanship? Drop your take in the comments.